Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. And in today's video, I'm going to continue the theme of the 60-day cycle as we're coming to the critical last 20 days or so. I'm going to be looking at exactly what we can expect in this region in the last 20 days, the last third of the current 60-day cycle. I'll also be looking at the most important critical levels that when we do actually make this turnaround, which are the levels where we could actually catch up with some of the lost ground that we've had since last November. Please don't miss those levels because they will be your greatest guide for taking profits and being able to accumulate more Bitcoin or whatever coins that you're interested in. And if that sounds interesting, then without further ado, get yourself a cup of tea, sit yourself down, eyes on the screen, and let's get cracking. Before I begin, the usual polite reminder, please remember everything in my videos is just for educational purposes. You should be listening to many different people with a different range of opinions before you finally make up your mind to make an investment or a decision. So please make sure you do your wider research before you make any important decisions. And always remember, nobody has a crystal ball. Not one person out there knows what's going to happen in the next 1 or 2 or 3 hours. All we have is a guide of the charts to give us a higher degree of probability of the direction which the charts may be going. And that's all we've got. I'm going to start off with this daily chart here, just to highlight the terrible and brutal bear market that we're in at the moment. Having topped off here at 69, we've had a terrible, terrible downturn all along down here. And this has really been playing with everybody's emotions. But this is exactly what bear markets do. They drain all your energies. And every time you feel as though you've actually won the battle here and here, all these relief rallies that we've had, these are little battles that we all thought was going to lead to all this moves up here. We've lost all of them. The main thing is, are we going to win the war down here? And it brings me to this fantastic quote by Maya Angelou here, that you will face many defeats in life, but never let yourself be defeated. So I'm here really to give you some positive news out of the ashes of all the bad news, that there is still hope and we must never lose hope. And you can apply this in your real life. Everybody has many difficulties and obstacles and mountains to climb in life, where you may have faced many defeats in life. Yes, we've all been there, but it's not what happens to you, but how you respond that gets you to the other side in a manner that's beneficial to you. And the main thing is always never ever let yourself be defeated. Which leads me on to the second quote for today before I go into the analysis, and that is that courage isn't having the strength to go on, it's actually going on when you don't have the strength. We have to muster that extra 5%, the 10%, the 1% that we need down here. Without the bother, without the terrible emotions that we've suffered all the way down here. Don't let these emotions run into these emotions over here. Otherwise, we will definitely miss this recovery that we're going to get, wherever we're going to get it from, either from where we are now, or from 12,000 or 14,000, wherever it's going to be. I hope you found value in those quotations and how they apply to Bitcoin as well as the wider life. So the current cycle, as we know, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that the previous cycle came to an end after 63 days. And from that point onwards to the next 60-day cycle is the 8th of January. And the midpoint here was really the 9th of December. And as I said, when we bottomed out here, that we now have a 30-day period of growth. Wherever this is going to turn out to be, at one point we thought it's going to be this level here at around 17.5, and it looked like it was going to be a left translated cycle because it came before the 30-day midpoint. However, like Bitcoin normally does, it surprised us that after the 30 days we had a big run up towards the 18,200, which was the level I'd given you in relation to the previous support levels that we had all around here. So now, having made a right translated cycle, i.e. a top after the midpoint, if you've been watching my videos, you'll know that I've been saying that we're now going to be coming into the 60-day low, wherever this is going to be, anywhere down here, all the way down here. Actually, if you broke these cycles down into 3 lots, then the first lot is usually the biggest move up here. The middle point is really a consolidation at the midpoint, and then it's the last third, the last 20 days, which are the weakest part of the cycle. And that's where we know that it can come down very, very quickly, very, very harshly. And that will really depend on what happens to some of the exchanges that have a question mark hanging over them, like Grayscale and Genesis. So currently, from our cycle bottom here, we're on day 43 now. In a 60-day cycle, we've got 17 days to go. And if in those 17 days, we get any news of either Genesis or Grayscale going out of business, then really we could have a very rapid fall down here into the 60-day cycle bottom. And it is something that hasn't been resolved, so there is a question mark hanging over that in these last 20 days or so. And that's the real fear factor that we've got here. It's very difficult to predict where this last part of this 60-day cycle will end. If we don't get that in the next 20 days, then it looks like to me that the news will be positive surrounding Genesis and Grayscale. But we really do need a resolution of those situations because it is having a hangover over the market. And usually at the end of December, you usually get a sideways market going on anyway, because people have got other things to do and very few people are actually tuned into the market. So currently we've met our target of 16,400, and with this cycle being the weakest part of the 60-day cycle, there's a very high degree of probability that we're going to meet our next target. That's why I had these two targets, which is at 16,000. And it's amazing actually, I've been giving you this target at the bottom of this candle here for over a week and a half now, and it's exactly where the bodies of the candles have found support. And the next target is obviously at the bottom of this candle here, where we bounced up from. And so this is a very important support line over here. And this being the weaker part of the cycle with a higher degree of probability, we should be able to come back down to about the $16,000 mark. And depending on what's going on in the background, there is a high likelihood that we're going to come and retest this 15.4 or 15.5 over here before we start going back up in the next 60-day cycle. So only time will tell, but very, very important. But these critical levels we must keep an eye on. The final point to say on these 60-day cycles is that if we make a lower low from these points here, then it may take one, maybe two more cycles to go sideways and consolidate a bit like this before we have a proper turnaround into the bull market. Conversely, if we don't make a lower low and we make a turnaround at these levels at 16.4 or 16,000, so if we go into the 60-day cycle at these levels, then that would be extremely bullish, and that would be a very strong signal to say that we've bottomed out here at 15.4. At that point we would have created a double bottom pattern, which is usually the sign for a bottom of a bear market. So these are the things I'm looking at. 16.4 into here or 16,000, and if we break this 15.4, then we're looking at lower targets down here. That could be anywhere between 10.5 and 14,000. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the levels that are very important going forward. Okay, so we'll start off with the recent levels, and I'm sure you'll have worked these out. The last level that we've got is currently at 18,300, and if you look left here, you can see quite clearly that was a level round here. So this was a lot of support and resistance here, support here, and that's exactly what we came up to. So when we now come back up from wherever we go, if it's over here or down from here, we may leave other levels here, by the way, but in the absence of not knowing which ones, this is the last one that we've got. But when we do come here, we know we're going to have a high probability of being rejected one more time. There may be another 10% accumulation which we could do before going back up again. Okay, so 18,300 or in that region. I can only tell you what I would be doing here is that when it hits 18,000, I'm not going to be waiting for 18.1, 18.2, 18.3 or whatever. It could even go to 18.6 or what have you here. It could even go up to 18.5, even 19, but it will come back more than likely to find support around those levels if it doesn't reject much further. So that's the first level, 18.3. The second level is, look, when we came up here from a fall to this level where we got rejected very strongly, this was bound to be a very strong level on the way back up. And again, it takes into account all these support and resistance points over here. And that's at about 21,500. So that's your second level on the way back up. The third level You could even take this one here at 22.8. The bigger one is here at 25. So if you want to miss this one out and just ignore this one, whether it comes back or not, this is the stronger one here at 25. And that's because of this level here. When it found support here, this was a very big bounce from this level. So you knew that this is going to be a very important level, and this is exactly what the price was thinking, and it came right up to that point before being rejected. The next level is this region here at around about 28,800 to 30,000. So if you make a marker, it is a range. You can never get the exact amounts, of course, but this is a range which takes into account most of the support and resistance along the way here. So you've got 18.3, 21.5, 22.8, 25.2. The next level would be at this level here, at this point. Yes, you might get some at this underside of this, around here, based on these levels. You could get that around 37, 38, but you can also mark this one here. Once again, this is going back to the support here, if you can see there, and over here multiple times, and support here. So when it came to these levels, you're looking at around about 47, 48,000. This was a very, very important level, absolutely critical. If I had to say which of these are the most important, 48 would be the most important level. And you can look at underneath of that, based on when we were coming all the way up here, we got rejected right at this point, which was at around about 42,000. And then when we came back down here, we came back to 40,000. So this region between 40 and 42,000 is also a very, very important level. So you get quite a few at this level here, because as you can see, there's a lot of activity, lots of support, lots of resistance over here. And of course, at the top of this was this level at around 52,000, 51, 52. And look at the resistance here. So if you mark this out, you wouldn't be going far wrong. And then you got this level here. The first time we made a top as part of the double top that we've got here was at 64,000, down to the bodies of the candle down here. So anywhere around the $60,000 mark. This is just a wick, so more than likely it's going to come up to the bodies of the candles here. And of course the 69,000 down to the body of the candle here at 65. So that's going to be another region over here. And that's in quick succession. So far, there's around about 10 or 11 levels here now that we've got to look forward to. So we can see how this is going to map out on this side. We're going to be coming to these levels, getting rejected at each of these points, or most of them anyway. Some of them they'll go through. You'll miss some of them. Of course you will. The market's not going to make it easy for you. Nobody said it would. So this is what's going to happen on the way up before we have a crescendo over here. Now, how far that'll go, we really don't know. We may not even get to the top here, but if the previous cycles to go by, that we will surpass this. And all we can do is take it level by level on the way up here. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you found value in the analysis, and if you did, then please do remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. I'm going to leave you, however, with two fantastic quotes. The first one here on the right hand side says that courage isn't having the strength to go on, it is actually going on when you don't have the strength. And what I mean by that is that since we made our moves all the way from the 69 all the way down here, you may be having, your courage may be being sapped all the way down here. But this down here is when you need the strength to carry on. That's what real courage is. When your strength has been sapped all the way down here, and then still carrying on to the upside. That was by Napoleon Bonaparte. And this one is by Henry David Thoreau. And this is really quite important on a wider basis as well, that not until we are lost do we begin to find ourselves. So we may find ourselves a little bit lost in what's happened here. Where we are at the moment here, we may feel that there's no way out of here, and we seem a bit confused as to the direction where everything is going. But really, what we learn down here, what we learn from the experiences of coming down here, this is really where we begin to find ourselves. It's only through the hardships and the difficulties and the obstacles and the many mountains that we have to climb. That's where we do most of our learning. So I hope, while empathizing with everybody, with all the emotional turmoil that we've had down here, I hope we've learned something along the way. And always remember, it's not what happens to us in terms of the turmoil, in terms of the difficulties, but it's how we respond that really defines us as people. So I hope the future will define you very kindly going forward. Okay, that's the final point I want to make. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions you want to share your feelings about some of the quotations I'm giving you here. And if you find them useful and if you're learning something from them, then please leave your comments in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.